Good morning, welcome to CATEX-TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. This is a live broadcast from Princeton, New Jersey. Today is Friday, November 19th, 2010. It's 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the U.S. It's 4:30 p.m. in London. In Bermuda, it's 12:30, and in Mexico City, 10:30 a.m. If you need to reach us during the broadcast, you can phone in toll-free at 1-866-67-CATEX. Overseas, our AOL Instant Mail address is CATEX-TV. On this day in history, in 1977, 33 years ago today, Egyptian President Anwar Sadat flew from Cairo to Tel Aviv to visit Israel, the first Arab leader to do so. What a commotion that caused. All three American news anchors were on board the plane with the Egyptian president as he flew to Israel. It truly was a memorable experience. I can remember it vividly. The American actress Jodie Foster is 48 years old today. Now to our news. There's another mine disaster. This one is in New Zealand. Apparently some 27 miners, coal miners, still seem to be trapped as an explosion ripped through one of New Zealand's largest coal mines this morning. Any injury-related costs from this mining explosion are unlikely to impact the international insurance industry. Accident cover is provided by a national compensation scheme in New Zealand. 5 miners escaped, 27 are still missing. Police are saying that before the blast, electricity went out, which may have caused ventilator problems that led to a buildup of methane gas, which then exploded. The explosion was powerful enough to blow one driver off his machine deep in the tunnel. It also collapsed a shed on top of the tunnel. TV footage showed blackened and singed trees and smoke billowing from the top of a mountain where a 360-foot-long ventilation shaft emerges. Rescue teams are there now. Apparently, there is talk of a rescue attempt being mounted over the weekend. The name of the company that owns the mine is called Pike River. They're saying that each miner carries 30 minutes of oxygen supply. And should they reach oxygen stores that are put into the mine for emergency purposes, the miners could survive for several days. I believe as of right now there's been no contact yet reported with the miners. The government of China has ordered banks to set aside larger reserves. This is the 5th time this year they've moved that way, draining cash from the financial system to limit inflation. The ratio will increase 50 basis points, half of 1%, beginning the 29th of November. The aim is to step up liquidity management and appropriately control credit and loans. Speculation of an imminent increase in interest rates to counter inflation helped to drive the biggest sell-off in China's stock market since May over the past 2 weeks. Officials are seeking to rein in the money supply as expanded U.S. stimulus spurs capital flows into Asia, and of course after unprecedented bank lending in China. One analyst at the Royal Bank of Canada in Hong Kong said Beijing seems increasingly concerned about the inflation outlook. He sees an interest rate increase followed by year-end with more to come in 2011 and appreciated acceleration in the yuan, the Chinese currency, against the dollar. I guess this is what's happening when Bernanke released the taps over here and began to buy more government debt. After many years of complaining to the Chinese about their devalued currency, the American government has decided to let market pressures do it for them. Chinese perhaps should have listened in the first place. This morning, President Obama arrived in Portugal for 2 days of meetings with NATO allies. They're talking about, among other things, a new plan for ending the war in Afghanistan. The American military announced that they're sending in 28 Abrams M1 tanks into Afghanistan, the first time tanks will make their appearance in Afghanistan. Of course, the president had a long trip, a 10-day trip in Asia last week, spent 3 nights at home and immediately flew to Europe. The focus for the weekend is forming the NATO plan to turn responsibility for security in Afghanistan over to local forces. The president is also going to meet with the Russian president, Dmitry Medvedev. Obama arrived in office. He arrived in Portugal this morning. He was greeted by members of the Portuguese Presidential Guard. He went immediately to a meeting at the American Embassy and then was headed to meet the Portuguese President and the Portuguese Prime Minister. Well, in Ireland, non-stop meetings are going on in Dublin. The European Union and International Monetary Fund and the Irish government are meeting to try to come up with a package for a loan to Dublin. It's going to be contingent upon the release of an Irish government 4-year austerity scheme sometime early next week. The Irish Community Minister, Pat Carey, said on Friday that the government's 4-year fiscal plan for 15 billion euros in savings will be published probably on Tuesday. Dublin is discussing an aid package worth tens of billions of euros. Banks in Ireland have been largely shut out of market lending due to concerns about their solvency. They're almost entirely reliant on funding from the European Central Bank. That's now reached 130 billion euros by the end of October. EU sources have told Reuters that Ireland may need assistance of between 45 billion and 90 billion euros. The big stumbling block is the Irish government's determination to hold on to its very low corporate tax rate. And in Canada, of all places, in Montreal, which the last time I looked at a map was relatively inland, a fire destroyed about 30 boats and caused millions of damages at a marina just south of the city. Witnesses reported hearing an explosion at about 7 p.m. last night. Firefighters from 8 nearby municipalities were called in to extinguish the flames. Fumes from burning plastic created a cloud of toxic smoke which hung over the marina for several hours. Damage was estimated at several $million. The fire occurred at St. Paul d'Île-d'Aulnoy. It's located about 35 miles south of Montreal on the Richelieu River, just north of the start of Lake Champlain. The stock market in the U.S. is down about 13 points right now. We'll go to a word from our sponsors. Well, the Deepwater Horizon oil rig explosion in the Gulf of Mexico, as you know, many people are aware of this, was mainly a BP project. However, there were other minority partners on the deal, as we've been mentioning. Mitsui & Company was a minority owner, and it's being reported today by Christopher Monroe at Insurance Day that the amount of insurance that Mitsui has in place for the Deepwater Horizon loss is substantially less than the level of claims it's received. The Japanese conglomerate has about a 69.9% equity interest in something called Mitsui Oil Exploration Company, which has a share, a 10% share, in the Macondo 252 well. So by the end of September, BP had incurred costs of almost $40 billion related to the disaster. Mitsui is admitting that it's unable to estimate the total amount of its own liabilities, but it's received bills from BP so far the amount of $2.13 billion US. Mitsui says that we have insurance, but the amount of that insurance is substantially less than the amount of claims that we've received to date. In addition, we may have coverage as an additional insured under the insurance policies of third parties involved in the Deepwater Horizon incident. BP has said that the bill for its minority partners in the well is almost $4.25 billion as of the end of September. That figure, of course, does not correlate with the $2.1 billion sent to Mitsui so far. Mitsui hasn't paid anything yet. They said that we expect we'll continue to receive bills from BP, but since we're unable to reasonably estimate what the amount of those future invoices will be, and we don't know what our insurance liability will be, we will continue to not make any payment. Interesting. In the United States, from Itasca, Illinois, Arthur J. Gallagher is on the move again. They picked up yet another insurance broker. They've acquired this time Benke and Company. The Decatur, Illinois-based company, which started in 1983, offers commercial property and casualty insurance, employee benefits, and risk management consulting services to its clients throughout the U.S. Christopher Benke and his associates will continue to work from their current locations, although they will now come under the direction of Thomas Gallagher, the Midwest regional manager for Gallagher's retail property and casualty broking operation. And the suspicious package that got everybody so frightened on the Air Berlin flight from Namibia into Munich earlier in the week, well, apparently the package was a device designed to test security. It didn't contain any explosives. The suspicious piece of luggage that was about to be loaded onto the Air Berlin 737 was a, quote, test device from an American company that tests alarms and security systems. This is according to the German Interior Minister this morning. The discovery of the bag at the Windhoek International Airport delayed the flight for 6 hours. The security minister said he believed the device was from an American company. He didn't know which company. He said no one was warned in advance about the test device. The bag contained a functioning electronic clock with wiring attached, but no explosives. Air Berlin is confirming that there was no explosive material found in the laptop bag. It had no luggage label, so it was impossible to know where it was going, but it was in an area where it would have been loaded onto our plane. A senior German counterterrorism source told CNN today that the terror threat facing Germany is more serious than ever before. In fact, they said that while urging against panic or hysteria, on a scale of 1, no danger, to 10, being acute danger of an attack, we are currently at a 9. Therefore, we need to be very alert. Boy, that's quite a scale. Stock market still remains down 13 points. It's possible, just possible, that a number of people have begun a week off. 6 days from today, of course, is Thanksgiving Day in the United States and in Canada. Next week is only a 3-day week. Really, it's more like a 2.5-day week. So it's possible that a number of people are taking today off and the balance of all of next week. If you are, have a good time off. If not, we'll see you on Monday morning. Have a good weekend, and thank you for watching.